Live from the mist-enshrouded mountaintop fortress that is X and Y Communications headquarters, you're listening to the world-famous Mountaintop Podcast. And now, here's your host, Scott McKay.
How's it going, gentlemen? Welcome again to yet another episode of the world-famous Mountaintop Podcast. Oh, yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Clubhouse at Scott McKay, Real Scott McKay on Instagram, Scott McKay on YouTube. The website is mountaintoppodcast.com. And I invite you to join our group of like-minded men on Facebook at the Mountaintop Summit Facebook group. With me today is a returning friend of mine. Have we ever got a topic for you? These conversations never fail to deliver in big and often entertaining ways. That's because, hey, the guest himself is big. It's Big Will Hicks, all the way from New York City. New York City. Will, man, welcome back, man.
What's going on, Scott?
Hey, man, I tell you what, it is a beautiful day here in Texas. I know you got postponed yesterday from recording this because of a torrential downpour where you live that was actually audible. So I'm glad we could come back today and talk about the topic du jour, which is why we as men are often our own worst enemy. Why can't we get out of our own way? What's the deal with that, Will? I'm just going to let you riff on that right here from the get-go.
I mean, I don't even know where to start. I mean,
you can start right where we can't seem to relate to women without tripping all over ourselves or even talking to them at all. Often we're our own worst enemy there, right?
I mean, we've been our worst enemy since the beginning of time.
No doubt.
There have been times where basically the girl literally throws herself at the guy. All he has to do is shut up, show up, and he's in there, and he will literally talk himself out the girl.
How does that typically work? I agree with you, by the way.
He talks too damn much. You know, he says all the wrong things at the right times. She becomes drier than the Sahara Desert, and next thing you know, it's nomad time.
A nomad is not a very good thing to be when you're trying to get with women, is it?
No, that's not the time to work on your tribal status.
After some time spent being a nomad, you'll be mad. That'll be the deal.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and here's another thing, right?
Right.
Especially in today's time, you know, guys, especially a lot of traditional guys, they feel like, okay, well, in order to get the girl, we have to go out on a date. And that's usually dates end in you winding up all by yourself with some gratuitous, self-touching, mad as hell that nothing happened.
And a big bill.
You don't, exactly. You know, so you don't have to go on dates, but most guys think they do. And there's a lot of professional women daters out there who will basically date you for free meals and a lot of free other things with no intention of doing anything with you.
Now, see, that reminds me of a specific situation. And a lot of guys, man, their heads are going to nod when I bring this one up. Some of them are probably going to roll their eyes and cringe as well, but that's a different story. A lot of times a man will talk to a woman and finally get the gumption up, you know, grab a pair and ask her out. And she'll go, "Is this a date?" And they don't know what to say. And that's typically where they start, well, being their own worst enemy, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if she has to ask, "Is this a date?" You've already started off wrong. So,
well, I don't know. Usually the answer is yes. I mean, why leave her guessing? A lot of times she's just trying to figure out what to wear or how to act or what to expect. And the guy's thinking, oh God, if I say yes, then the jig is going to be up and she's going to know I'm sexually attracted to her. And we wouldn't want that now, would we? And that's kind of what goes through guys'
yeah, this is true. Well, actually, if you're going to go out on a quote unquote date, you need to give her instructions. You need to tell her what to wear, what time to be ready, where to show up, what you're going to be doing. This way, she won't say, "Is this a date or not?" Like, let's say if you're going to play mini golf, you say, "Okay, I need you to wear jeans, sneakers, and a comfortable top, and I need you to be ready at 7:15.
That sounds like an excellent plan. Unfortunately, a lot of guys are their own worst enemy because they don't have a plan. And that goes for all areas of life, doesn't it?
Well, you know what? I'll share this with you guys. For all those guys who have a hobby, this is where you can use that and you don't have to worry about ever dating again. Like for me, I play basketball. So if a girl isn't into basketball, then I don't want nothing to do with her because it's going to be annoying later on when I'm playing basketball. It's like, "You're doing that again?" I'm not even putting myself through that. You'll say you play basketball, or let's say it's bowling or badminton or crochet, whatever you do.
But guys assume women aren't sexual, that they're not going to be sexually attracted to them, that sex is like some incredible prize, some jackpot we're going to win on an off chance, instead of just assuming women are sexual and they're just as horny as we are. And you talked about guys talking themselves out of the bedroom. Man, that happens in such a myriad of ways, up to and not limited to assuming she doesn't want to do this without even getting her opinion ever. And second of all, as soon as the clothes start coming off, him saying something stupid, blurting out something like, how many guys do you get naked with this quickly? And the next thing you know, she's putting her clothes back on and snapping the top button this time and slamming the door behind her on the way out. And the guy's like, what could I have done better? Where did I mess up? Why did that happen? And this happens a lot to a lot of guys, young and old. Some guys never outgrow it, do they, Will?
Nah, they get worse as time goes on. Cause
how so?
They know it all, and you can't, when you think you know it all and you're above learning and tweaking and adjusting, that's when you really start failing.
You bring up a good point, and this transcends women and sex. A lot of guys, if they don't know how to do something, not only will they not ask directions, but they'll feel so prideful about it that they'll avoid those situations for the rest of their life. And to me, I've always said, Will, the worst fault you can ever have is either to not recognize or not admit to the faults that you do have, because then you're stuck with them forever.
True.
And if I want to get better at something, what I need to do is humble myself a little bit, ask somebody who knows what they're doing to teach me how to do it, sit at their feet till I figure it out. Then one day I can be a mentor to someone else, and that'll feel great. But, baby steps. You got to learn how to take orders before you can learn how to give orders, that sort of thing, right? But so few guys really seem to have the wherewithal to say, yeah, I want to get better at this, and I'm going to have to learn, and that's going to take some humility. And we're our own worst enemy when we don't do that.
Well, you know what? Especially when it comes to women dating, being in the moment, I equate this with sports, where the best ability is availability. So you have to be available to put yourself in these situations where the outcome will be the most successful.
And the guy with the most talent is the guy who practices the most.
No question.
Right.
Or he's already set up his life where he's the one that is receiving all the calls and not making a whole bunch of calls. He just decides what options he will and won't take.
So you're talking about a guy who's a chooser instead of a chaser.
Yeah. See, now you can put yourself in position where women can choose you and show choosing signals. Most guys don't do that. It means that you have to go where, one, the woman that you want is there in abundance. It's kind of like the salesperson who is mad at himself because he's not selling anything. But then at the meeting, they ask, well, how many people did you talk to this week? Well, I really didn't get a chance to talk to anybody. But, so if you don't talk to anybody, how you go make any sales? I don't care how good you are.
Well, that's true for every area of life also. And harking back to women and dating, a lot of guys will tell me, and I'm sure you've heard this too, Will, I can't get any women to go out with me. None of these women want to go out with me. And we'll say to them, well, how many women have you talked to and asked out? And the answer is almost always a big fat 0, right? So right. We're our own worst enemy because we've pre-rejected ourselves without any woman's opinion because we couldn't bear the thought of rejection. So we don't get to experience the reality of acceptance. Huh?
That's true.
Well, I'll tell you what, just so these guys don't feel like they're perhaps the only one in the entire universe who's ever had this happen to them, let's drop some scenarios where guys, the best way I know how to describe it is steal defeat from the jaws of victory. You know what I mean? That's kind of in line with being our own worst enemy. I've had guys, I've watched them walk up to women and go, I'm sorry to bother you, which of course, sets the frame early, doesn't it? Then they go, much, I know you probably have a boyfriend and don't want to go out with me and don't give guys your number, right? And they'll go, yeah, all of the above. And they'll come back to me, throw their hands up in the air and go, see, all these women can't stand me. They don't want to go out with me. You were your own worst enemy in that situation, bud.
What? You know what? I can even give guys a tweak to that as far as what do you say when you first approach a woman, especially in this whole Me Too era. I mean, if I were going to approach a woman, first of all, it had to be some type of indication that she even noticed me, or, she smiled, something. There had to be some indication for me to even walk up to her. Because when you just walk up to a woman randomly, you're basically giving her all the power, as they say. So there has to be some type of choosing signal. But let's say there is. And I walk up to this woman. The first thing out of my mouth is, are you single?
The first thing out of your mouth.
Yeah. Are you single? And you say this sort of, are you single? Almost in an accusatory tone. Like, yes. Are you single? And the reason for that is she might not necessarily be single per se, but her answer will be, is she single for me?
That's some deep stuff right there.
Yeah, because let's say I'm 6'5" and she's into 5'6" guys, and obviously I'm not her type. And she'll tell me whether she's alone or not. She'll be like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not, or whatever. But if she is into me, then she's like, yes, I am single. Why? And my response to that is, because if this goes the way I know it's going to go, I don't want anybody getting upset or me stepping on anybody's toes if you wind up doing something with me like you should.
Now, see, I thought you were going to say something like, because I'm doing a poll, who lies more, women or men?
Yeah, no, that's not the poll I'd be doing, but yeah.
You mean that wouldn't be the next thing you say? Man, how un-PUA-like of you. I mean, first of all, we have to level set here. Will and I go way back, gentlemen. We go back to the days where we were both, working with Evan Pagan when he was David D'Angelo, back on,
way back
interviews with dating gurus, and you were actually speaking on stage with him and on his tour with him and stuff like that. So Will and I are OGs from way back in the pickup artist era, back in like 05, 06, 07.
No question.
We're starting to talk like a bunch of old men. Back in 06, I did this. Back in my day. Oh boy. Next thing you know, we're going to tell each other to get off our lawn, Will. What the heck's up with us? Anyway, the last show you and I did together was the old bull on the hill versus the young bull on the hill. And I'm sure to a lot of guys, this show has the same texture to it. But man, there's so much to talk about here. Guys are our own worst enemy in how we eat, in the activities we choose to partake in. I mean, on a very somber note, I mean, you and I both love to crack jokes and we're both very funny guys, but I don't know how many of your friends you've buried. But I'll tell you what, over the years, Will, I've been to an exponentially greater number of funerals for young folks who have died who were male instead of female. And guys make a lot of dumb decisions that end up costing them their lives. I mean, there are men who go to war and they die in service of our country. And there are guys who die performing very heroic acts of bravery, saving people, fire, law enforcement officers, even people who protect their own families, and it costs them their lives. But I'll tell you what, Will, us guys are notorious for making very bad decisions on motorcycles and cars with drugs. Hey, y'all, watch this, hold my beer kind of things. And, we are our own worst enemy when we do that. We're our own worst enemy when we are having problems and we don't reach out to someone and get the help we need, mental health professionals, or even, I know I'm stacking a bunch of stuff here at once on you, and I apologize for doing that, but the shoe kind of fits because it all kind of gets lumped together. Sometimes we don't even go to the doctor when we have symptoms. Why do we exhibit such reckless abandonment in certain parts of our lives and such uber conservatism to the detriment of ourselves in other areas?
Because we're idiots.
Is it true? Are we more idiotic than women are? Are women more sensible than men in general?
Women, well, it used to be women were more emotional than men were when we were growing up. Now, with these later generations, it's cool to be emotional. It's cool to cry at every movie. It's cool to be a male feminist. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. It's cool to let the women make all the decisions, and women don't even like that.
I wonder if it's kind of the same general theme that falls in line with the only difference between boys and men is the size of their toys. I wonder if the only difference between the bad mistakes of grown men and grown women is the size of their consequences. That's an interesting thought, isn't it? Because women make lots of bad decisions. Sometimes women's bad decisions are in line with choosing the wrong guy. I mean, men and women both make bad decisions in that realm. But you don't see so many women getting killed on motorcycles or doing stupid stuff that costs them their lives. They make bad decisions, perhaps not being assertive in their careers or staying in the wrong place too long or not taking advantage of an opportunity. I know I'm being stereotypical here, but it kind of goes back to the original point that I've buried more male friends than female friends when they died far too young. And that is absolutely us being our own worst enemy. Talk a little more, Will, to the guys who aren't getting the help they need, either mentally, physically, or even doing better at what they should be doing better at.
Well, the first thing I would say to those guys is, do you have a passion? Because once you find something that you're passionate about, whether it's your job, whether it's your hobby or something that you're a skill that you're really good at, and you pursue that, everything else starts to fall into place. You know, if the woman is the thing that you wake up and do everything for, you'll never find true happiness, because she could change on the blink of an eye, and then where you left, you back at square one. But if you have a passion that drives you, that gets you up, and this is what you're about, women will follow your passion, and you'll never have to worry about getting a woman ever again. Women will follow guys that are driven, because they're drawn to leaders. They like a guy who knows where he's going, and they know that, okay, I need to do my part to fit into his life and what he's about and where he's going, and then he'll take care of the rest. Women naturally do this. Most guys don't take this initiative because they don't know where they're going.
Yeah, it's an old story, and a lot of guys really fall prey to this. But when you make a woman your purpose, she's going to view you as having no purpose. And she's not going to be very attracted to you, because what's going to happen is she's going to, in a way, be carrying the masculine torch there. I mean, she is the purpose at that point. Instead of you having a purpose and her being invited into your reality, which is kind of what you were just saying. I love that phrase, by the way, inviting a woman into your reality. Women will typically gladly follow for many reasons, one of which they're hardwired to in terms of attraction. I mean, men who lead are leading because they're providers, protectors, presiders, like we talk about around here. And that makes women feel safe and secure. And when they trust your decision making, there's that term again, they'll follow along. Even if they're very strong-willed woman, they love the man being the man when that man is acting in a woman's best interest. But when basically she's his god and he worships her, that doesn't feel very masculine to that woman, and she doesn't feel attracted to it. So yeah, this whole idea of inviting a woman into our reality is a place where many of us are our own worst enemy, not only because we're making that woman the center of our reality, but probably more poignantly, we don't have a reality. We don't know who the hell we are. We don't know what we're about. We don't have that passion. Therefore, we don't have that ambition. So it's just a house of cards, and it inevitably falls apart.
True. I'm basically, I was brought up, the guys that taught me about the game were, my uncles and my grandfather. And they basically was like, you got to do one of two things, son. You got to lead or leave. One or the other. There's
a lot of people who left, but somehow they're still around, which is the troubling part.
Yeah, but they left a long time ago mentally.
Checked out on us. That's way too true.
Left the building.
Yeah, Elvis has left the building.
Lead or leave. He also told me that when it comes to women, you can do one or two things. You can either love them or understand them, but you can't do both.
Now, how does that work? Because I think a lot of guys assume women cannot be understood, that they're this enigma wrapped in a quandary surrounded by a problem. But, women really just want to feel safe. And when they do, and they know that you're there for them and making good decisions on their behalf, they tend to do wonderful things for you in return. And to me, that kind of seems like the secret of the universe. It doesn't matter how much I love her or how hot she is or how sexy she is. Matter of fact, sometimes women with better developed personalities and bodies are the easiest ones to get along with, as long as you're not afraid of them. And that's another place where guys can't get out of their own way. We're so damn afraid of women And these are guys who are like combat veterans, guys who are like soldiers and captains of industry and are hugely productive under pressure. They get in front of a woman and they're so afraid of rejection, aka getting beat by a girl, that they just flat out wither. They don't have any courage at all. And, guys are our own worst enemies because we overanalyze everything, including, what it's going to take to talk to this woman. I mean, they're just mammals like we are. They're horny. They like men just like we like them. And you know what? If you give them a chance, they'll probably like us back, right?
No question. And everything you said goes into understanding the woman.
Yeah. So what's the deal with if I love her, I can't understand her? Why is that mutually exclusive?
No, I said you can choose to do one or the other. I didn't say you couldn't have love for her. I just said the main focus when it comes to women, most guys who fall head over heels in love, they'll never get to know the woman and wonder why she does this, why she does that. But if you know female nature and you're a woman and how she reacts to certain things you do as a man, that changes the game.
Okay, now I understand where you were going with that. So this kind of becomes getting clouded by beauty vision. I am so hot for her. I adore her so much that anything logical or anything having to do with building that relationship, understanding her, relating to her, kind of plays second fiddle, and maybe it never even happens.
Right.
Because certainly a lot of guys end up with crazy, psychotic, evil women simply because she has a nice ass. And boy, are we ever our own worst enemy when that happens. Not only are we our own worst enemy, she's going to become our second worst enemy.
Yeah, see, those are the women you can't wife, you just experience with them. But a lot of guys, because, they're enamored by the sexcapades, they feel that, they can't get anything else or they want to wife this woman. Some women are just for the streets.
That's harsh.
Yeah.
I suppose it's reality, though, isn't it? Some women just aren't wife material.
Some women are just for the streets, and you have to acknowledge that, just let them go.
Perhaps sometimes we as guys are thinking we're either not father material or husband material, or that we are ready to be one half of a relationship and we're just not. And when we let someone or something other than our own hearts and minds tell us what our destiny is in that regard, either in the near term or the long term, we get in trouble and we're our own worst enemy then too, right?
No, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I
mean, most guys, they don't have a game plan. They don't know where to go. They don't know who to talk to. They don't know what to say. They just basically wing it, and they hang out with a bunch of guys who have no plan, and they just winging it together, and then they expect to get good results.
Well, that sounds like a pretty good place to end this particular episode. Big Will, what are you doing nowadays? Where are we going to point these guys to when I send them to www.mountaintoppodcast.com/Big Will? Where's that going to take them?
Well, there's two passions that I have. One is helping guys out with women. You can definitely reach me at CEO@securitybywill.com. When I say security, that means all aspects of it. Self-security, security for you and your loved ones, going out there in the world. And my other passion is helping people fix their credit. And I was a victim of that. And it took me a long time to get back on the horse. And I'm glad I did. And you can go check out my promo for that at www.90daycreditsweep.com.
And what I'll do, like I said, is I'll go ahead and take 90daycreditsweep.com and point to it from mountaintoppodcast.com/Big Will, so guys are sure to remember it. Always a pleasure, Big Will, man. Love having you on the show. And this was a great episode with lots of good information for these guys. And hopefully, gentlemen, we can all stop getting in our own way and become our own best friend instead of our own worst enemy. So thanks once again, Big Will.
Always a pleasure, baby.
All right. Yeah, man. Likewise. And guys, if you have not been to mountaintoppodcast.com just yet, go there, check out Origin in Maine and herosoap.com. Both are proud sponsors of this show, and we're proud to have them. When you click on either link at our website to go to Origin in Maine or Hero Soap Company, use the coupon code Mountain10 to get an extra 10% off at checkout. Now, listen, a lot of you guys are your own worst enemies, and you're not doing anything about it. Big Will and I have both gotten into trouble in the past Will just talked to you about his credit problems. You guys know I had a disastrous first marriage in many ways because I was my own worst enemy, and I didn't see the warning signs that were blaring at me before I got into that first marriage because I was naive and I was thinking, you know what, I can fix this, when they were things that were outside of my circle of influence. I don't want you to make those mistakes, guys. I want you to get this right the first time. Attract beautiful, sexy, sweet women who are of sound mind into your life. Pick the right one and go about leaving a legacy with her. Have children you actually like. Live a future you actually want to live. Go ahead and sign up to talk to me for 25 minutes for free. That's the first step at mountaintoppodcast.com. You'll see the button in the upper right-hand corner. It's red. You click on it. You get on my calendar for 25 minutes. Won't cost you a dime. We'll talk about where you are right now, where you want to be, and if the timing is right and the fit is good, we will set up a plan of action to take you there, and I guarantee results for every guy I work with. Listen, guys, if we work together, I will be the last coach you ever need for this. That is my guarantee to you. It's all there for you at mountaintoppodcast.com. And until I talk to you again real soon, this is Scott McKay from X&Y Communications in San Antonio, Texas. Be good out there.
The Mountaintop Podcast is produced by X&Y Communications. All rights reserved worldwide. Be sure to visit www.mountaintoppodcast.com for show notes. And while you're there, sign up for the free X&Y Communications newsletter for men. This is Ed Roy Odom speaking for the Mountaintop Podcast.